The Wise Old King and the Three Sons, a moral story. Once upon a time, in a magnificent kingdom nestled between lush valleys and rolling hills, there ruled a wise and just king named King Alaric. He was loved by his people for his fairness, wisdom, and the prosperity he had brought to the kingdom. King Alaric had 3 sons, Prince Aurelius, the eldest, Prince Caspian, the second, and Prince Alastair, the youngest. Each son was different in personality and temperament. Prince Aurelius was bold, confident, and loved by many for his leadership qualities, but he often acted impulsively without thinking through the consequences. Prince Caspian was intelligent, thoughtful, and very cautious, often overanalyzing situations, but sometimes to the point of hesitation. Prince Alastair, the youngest, was gentle, kind-hearted, and had a deep respect for wisdom, but he lacked confidence and often doubted his abilities. As King Alaric grew older, he realized that the time had come for him to choose a successor. He loved all his sons dearly, but he was not sure which one would be the best ruler for the kingdom. So, one day, he called them to his chambers and said, "My sons, I am getting old, and it is time for me to step down from the throne. I want to know who among you is truly ready to inherit the kingdom. To make this decision, I have devised a test, one that will reveal the qualities I value most in a ruler." The 3 princes listened attentively as their father continued, "I will give each of you a task. You must leave the palace and travel to the distant Mount Saphira, where a rare flower blooms once every 7 years. The flower is called the Solara blossom, and it is said to have the power to bring prosperity and peace to the land. Whoever brings back the Solara blossom will prove themselves worthy of the throne." The 3 princes were eager to prove their worth, and without wasting any time, they set out on their respective journeys. Each prince took a different path, guided by his own strengths and weaknesses. Prince Aurelius' journey. Prince Aurelius, confident in his strength and leadership, decided to take the most direct route to Mount Saphira. He gathered a group of soldiers to accompany him, thinking that with numbers on his side, nothing could stop him. He charged through forests, crossed rivers, and climbed steep hills without much regard for the dangers ahead. One evening, as he reached the foot of the mountain, he encountered a fierce storm. His soldiers, fearing the danger, wanted to turn back, but Aurelius refused. He was determined to be the first to reach the summit and claim the flower for himself. In his haste, he ignored the advice of his soldiers and pressed on. The storm worsened, and after hours of fighting the elements, Aurelius found himself lost and separated from his men. Exhausted and disheartened, he was forced to turn back, realizing that his impulsive decision to rush ahead without careful consideration had led to failure. Prince Caspian's journey. To Prince Caspian, the thoughtful and cautious prince, took a more calculated approach. He studied maps, spoke to travelers, and planned every step of his journey carefully. He took his time to assess the situation at each stage of his trip, always thinking several steps ahead. His journey was long, but he was confident that his meticulousness would lead him to success. As he neared Mount Saphira, he encountered an old hermit who warned him of the treacherous path that lay ahead. Caspian, unsure of whether to proceed or to wait for better weather, hesitated. He thought that perhaps he should wait until the storm passed or seek a safer route. But the more he pondered, the more time slipped away. His indecision delayed him, and by the time he finally decided to move forward, it was too late. The flower had already wilted, as it bloomed only for a brief moment and could not be found again until the next 7 years. Prince Alastair's journey. Prince Alastair, the youngest and most introspective of the 3, took a different approach. He did not rush nor did he overthink. Instead, he listened to the advice of the people he met along the way and followed his instincts. He traveled alone, with nothing but a small pack and his wits. Along his journey, he encountered several challenges. He crossed rivers by finding natural bridges, scaled cliffs with the help of a kind old woman who taught him the ways of the mountain, and shared his food with a hungry child he met on the road. Alastair didn't have the strength of his eldest brother nor the meticulous planning of his second brother, but he had something else: humility, patience, and the ability to learn from others. Finally, after many days of traveling, Alastair reached the peak of Mount Saphira. There, at the very top, amidst the rocks and the wild wind, he found the Solara blossom, its petals glowing in the moonlight. Unlike the other princes, Alastair had not sought to claim the flower for his own glory but had treated everyone he met with kindness and respect. As he picked the flower, he realized that the true treasure was not just in the flower itself, but in the journey, the lessons he had learned, the humility he had gained, and the connections he had made along the way returned to the kingdom. The princes returned to the kingdom and presented their stories to King Alaric. The king listened carefully to each of them. Prince Aurelius boasted of his strength and determination, but the king saw that his rashness had led to failure. Prince Caspian, though intelligent, had hesitated and allowed his fear of failure to prevent him from acting. But when Prince Alastair spoke, the king saw a different quality in him. Alastair spoke not only of the flower he had brought back, but also of the kindness of the people he had met, the lessons he had learned, and the way he had treated those he encountered along the way. After hearing each son's story, King Alaric smiled warmly and said, "My sons, each of you has shown great qualities, but only one of you has truly proven himself worthy of ruling. Prince Aurelius, your strength is admirable, but a ruler must also be wise and patient. Prince Caspian, your intellect is sharp, but a ruler must also be decisive. Prince Alastair, you have shown the greatest quality a king can have, humility, patience, and the wisdom to learn from others. You did not seek to prove your worth through force or cleverness, but through kindness and understanding. You are the one who will rule this kingdom." Moral of the story of the three princes teaches us that true leadership is not just about strength, intelligence, or confidence. It is about wisdom, humility, and the ability to learn from others. A true leader is someone who listens, who respects others, who acts with patience, and who leads by example. It is not always the strongest or the smartest who succeed, but those who possess the ability to understand and respect the world around them.